Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's me, Addy again, and as always, I hope you guys are doing alright. Recently, we completed the Halo Infinite campaign over on Twitch. Now this was a short but sweet playthrough. It took me about 3 streams to complete as opposed to some of the longer and crazier 20 to 30 part series we've done in the past, like for Death Stranding and FF7 Remake Intergrade, where I wanted to 100% the games. So it was nice to take a break from that and do a bit more of a bite-sized playthrough. Now granted, we didn't 100% this one, but we did do a good bit of side content on top of the main story, of course. So that said, today I wanted to review the Halo Infinite campaign. And I'll start by saying that I think Halo Infinite is a great game overall. I played this game on heroic difficulty and there was definitely a good bit of dying as a result. Out of ammo, fuck! No, oh my Jesus, dude. That fucking scared me, man. That was fucking loud. But we pulled through in the end, and I walked away feeling pretty damn good. Right? Nice! What a way to end it. Just killed fire with fire right there. They can summon your own size, bitch. Killed by your own tool. Here. Have a little teabagging. Some good old-fashioned Halo. You can't have a Halo game without a little bit of good old-fashioned dip in the bag in the tea. So I went into this experience hoping to find what I've personally loved about the Halo franchise, which is, to me, the gameplay. And that's because I have really good memories of playing the Halo 2 and 3 campaigns with a very good friend of mine many years ago. We used to couch co-op the campaigns in those games all the time, and really what stood out to me about them was how action-packed those games were. Just the simplicity of being Master Chief and destroying the bad guys, aka the aliens, as a mighty super soldier was awesome. I loved how fun all the weapons were to use and the variety of vehicles too. It was just an all-around great experience playing through all the levels of those games and having fun decimating the bad guys. And I'm happy to say that after all these years, I was able to relive the fun of playing those games here in Halo Infinite. The game essentially takes all the staple elements of gameplay that I loved about the previous Halo games, like the guns, the vehicles, aliens, and of course Chief himself, and throws them into an open world setting for what I believe is the first time in the series. The game abandons the classic linear mission structure of the old Halo games and allows you to now freely explore a decent chunk of what is called a ring in the Halo series, which is essentially like a giant planet. And the level design both of the open world as a whole and some of the really cool ancient sites you'll explore in it have a new layer of verticality to them, and that's because Master Chief now has a new grappling hook, which is a pretty big part of core gameplay here, and one that I really liked. You not only have guns and grenades at your disposal, but also a set of unique tools like the grappling hook, which allows you to reach new heights, latch onto enemies, and grab items from afar. It's just a very fun mechanic and a nice addition to the series that I personally had a lot of fun with. So yeah, definitely my favorite part of this game was just getting to zip around the open world and fighting aliens with many familiar weapons and vehicles, and even some really cool new ones on top of those. So for me, the game's greatest strengths were the gunplay and traversal for sure. Gameplay had the same energy as Halo 2 and 3 for me, and like I said, that's all I wanted out of this experience, and I got it. So now I'm going to touch a little bit on the things that I felt were a bit lackluster in the game, and since we're still on the topic of the open world design, it's worth mentioning how even though it's really cool how Halo is now an open world game, the world itself feels a bit uninspired when it comes to the side content in it. Here's the thing, right? Really the only thing to do in the open world besides maybe go for your main missions is to attack enemy bases, kill everyone there, and make them your own, similar to really any other open world game by insert Ubisoft title here like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, etc, etc. Now granted, it is pretty cool how you can use the bases to spawn more marines, vehicles, and weapons, but overall it's not at all something I'd be dying to spend my time on outside of the main story. And speaking of the story, this would be a good time to segue into the story portion of this review. So when it comes to the story of Halo in general, I'm admittedly not as well versed or connected to it as a lot of other people are. And that of course boils down to the fact that I haven't actually played all the Halo games. I've not actually played any of the ones after 3, which I played over 10 years ago at this point. And I only just recently played the first game with my friend a couple of months ago when the Master Chief Collection was on Game Pass. But here's the funny thing, right? We played that game on Legendary, man, so everything was so fucking hard that we weren't even able to pay attention to the game's narrative. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, that said, I do appreciate how the narrative of Infinite was freestanding enough that I had a basic understanding of what was going on. The story does tie in with a major event that happened previously in the series, but it's pretty small in the grand scope of Halo lore and doesn't feature a whole lot of characters, making it a little bit easier to digest and follow. And as someone who doesn't know the story too well of Halo as a whole, I was still pretty satisfied with what we got, although personally, I did start to get bored when it came to the game's main villain. He's basically this giant brute guy who loves to hear his own voice.
I am Escharum, War Chief of the Banished.
But basically, more importantly than that, and more seriously, I did start to get a little bored when it came to the story structure. Here's the thing, right? The story in Halo Infinite is fine, but the way it's executed is far from great in my opinion. It centers on the relationship between Chief and his new AI, which is cool and all, and starts off great, but quickly becomes boring to follow, at least for me. And I think that's because every single mission you do in this game, with the exception of maybe one or two, has you as Master Chief fighting your way through multiple of very similar looking ancient buildings called Forerunner sites, only to then interact with a terminal to follow your AI, who then starts to monologue for a good bit. It's pretty cool and interesting stuff in the beginning, but when 90% of the game's missions share that same structure, it gets boring fast, man. This game definitely has an issue with keeping me engaged with its narrative. Probably my biggest gripe though with the game was with its checkpoint system. Holy hell, this was janky. To name one of many examples, there was this one time that I got a boss to literally 1 HP, and he killed my ass, feels bad man, and I ended up having to start from before the fight even began. But then on my next attempt, I got him to about half HP, died, and then started from the beginning of the fight when I had damaged him a bit. What? So yeah, little things like that, plus the structure of the story, will hurt the experience a little for me. But overall, I was very happy with Halo Infinite. At the end of the day, I got to re-experience some of my favorite parts of the Halo series with this game, and there are a lot of other little things as well that I didn't even touch on, like the fact that the open world has a very nice day and night cycle with some beautiful lighting here. Seriously, this Halo game looks amazing, man. And also the music, holy shit, the music. As it always is in the Halo series, the soundtrack here is legendary, and even featured some of the very iconic tracks from the classic Halo games, which was a very nice treat. So yeah, I think the rating that Halo Infinite gets from me at the end of the day is a good 7 out of 10. I was thinking an 8 earlier, but given how annoyingly repetitive the mission structure became and how the checkpoint system made me quite literally live up to my username, I had to take off a point. Anyways, that's it for this review video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and definitely give Halo Infinite a shot if you can. And remember, you can watch my full VODs of the playthrough up on both my Twitch and second YouTube channel, Irritable Archives. And I should be starting up a new series soon. We're going to be playing Tales of Arise, and I'm very, very excited for that game. It looks really cool. But anywho, keep on keeping on, you guys, and thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.